Hello, podcast world, fellow horticulturists, lovers of plants, gardeners, family, and friends. Welcome to Shrubby Buddies, the podcast, friends with woodies for garden goodies. I'm host Matt Guthrie.
And I'm host Tim Fleischer. Coming at you from Central Ohio, Zone 6B. We're just a couple of public horticulturists and certified arborists with experience in education, landscape design, gardening, retail, and wholesale.
So grab a drink, polish your pruners, dust off that kneeling pad, and let's get down to business. Hey, Shrubby Buddies, and welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. I am host Matt Guthrie, joined with Timmy Fleischer.
Hey, Matt.
How are you, Tim?
Good afternoon. I'm glad to be here today.
I'm more glad that you're here today.
+2.
I'm gladder more.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So, what's been going on? You came over a little early today. We've been watching some NFL football. It's Sunday evening. We're recording this, watching some football.
Bonus coverage.
The Commanders just put it to the Bears at the very end of the game. That was exciting. Our Brownies won.
Hell yeah, they did.
Yeah. So who do
you know? We got a new man at the helm.
Yeah.
Jameis Crableg Wilson.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm not starting this over again. So we've had to take a couple takes on this because Tim keeps wanting to say Jameis Crab Legs Winston, because he stole the crab legs, and he keeps calling him Jameis Wilson. So I don't know what your deal is over there.
We got a new man at the helm, Jameis Crableg Winston, who threw for 300 yards today. So that's great. And we got Ken Dorsey calling plays. Steven Kavinsky stepped back from that, so I can't say my names today.
What's your deal?
Anyways, it's nice to when your team wins.
It is, and the Buckeyes won this weekend, so it's been a good sports weekend for us Ohio fans. I hope all of our listeners that aren't Browns and Buckeyes fans had a good sports weekend, except for anyone that's a Michigan Wolverines fan. Poo on you. And if you're a Bengals fan, poo on you too. So, because we don't like the Bengals and we don't like the Wolverines. So, other than that, though, what's been going on, man? I know, a relatively busy week at work for us. I
just love this time of year. It's finally settled into fall temperatures. The daytime is cooled off, the nighttime is like nice and cold, and it's allowing for the trees to start changing color. It's allowing for me to not be hot all the time. Hot take, summer sucks, it's just too hot. This time of year is perfect because when you're too cold, you just put on a jacket and you're fine. When you're too hot, there's nothing you can do short of jumping in a swimming pool.
Correct.
If we throw out heat and air conditioning, there's just nothing you can do if you're just too effing hot. But if you're too cold, you just put on a jacket.
Layer up.
Yeah, it's fine. So just love this time of year. October is my birth month, so that's one reason. We're coming up on Thanksgiving. I love that food.
October
Football
is the second best month of the year.
After?
Third best month of the year.
No, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
October's number one, and that's actually factual, but we don't need to debate that right now. We don't debate facts, so facts are facts.
Okay.
But yeah, football's in full swing. You're starting to see, the seasons are coming together, and who's real and who's not. And like I mentioned, the leaves get me all excited. And
yeah, I wish it would rain a little bit, though.
Yeah,
we're still in a pretty bad drought here in Ohio. Can't speak for the rest of the world, but I know what we are in Ohio, and it's dry. That's what we are.
We are, and I keep going back to this, but the fall foliage seems to have been able to figure that out and be just as good as usual.
Yeah. So. And all the farmers are out harvesting crops. They're out there in their Fendt tractors, just
kicking up dust
in the old Fendt tractors and John Deere's and International Harvesters and just shelling corn. I think all the beans are pretty much off now, but
Flad T Road was so dusty driving in today.
Flad T Road,
yep.
Yeah. So that's kind of it. what's been going on with me. Today was my last day at the greenhouse for the season. So that's sad because I really enjoy working for you, Bob, because I know you're listening to this. Whoa, what was that? Why are you hitting buttons?
That's like the sad noise
Oh,
for your last day at the greenhouse.
Yeah, it was sad, but at work, just been planting trees, doing some stump grinding, some removal of dead trees. I removed some big super chlorotic pin oaks that we've tried injecting with micronutrients several times, and it was time. I'm tired of just, I shouldn't have to continuously inject these pin oaks.
No, you should.
So.
And I helped you a lot that day. The day you were grinding the stumps.
Yeah, you sure helped a lot.
I rolled a big log down the hill.
You rolled a log down the hill that didn't need to be rolled down the hill, and that was your extent of helping. So
yeah, and then you helped me this week do a project at work.
We did.
We planted a little parking lot island that's like the size of a parking spot, and I think it's going to turn out really nice.
Absolutely.
So, thank you for that. We
brainstormed some ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of been my week, your week.
There's no storm like a brainstorm.
But you mentioned fall foliage, and that's going to bring us to this week's topic. So the title is Peep That Leaf, or Peep the Leaf, Fall Foliage Frenzy. And we're just going to have a conversation, I suppose, with y'all about trees, shrubs, a couple of perennials, things that you clearly know have great foliage, but maybe some things that you haven't thought about as like, oh yeah, that's right. Those trees do have beautiful fall foliage, or I'm not sure about that particular tree. Let me Google it and see if I can't go out and find it. So anyways, we're going to just kind of talk about some of these things. Obviously, we have the red maples, which are traditionally beautiful, right? So we're not going to talk much about red maple.
Today, we're going to talk about what we see as the elite fall color plants.
Yeah.
So not the stuff that's like it's kind of yellow, like a dirty yellow or something like that.
Like a sweet gum or even a tulip tree. Yeah.
Sweet gum.
No, I'm sorry, not sweet gum. Hackberry. Why did I say
I
was looking at sweet gum on our list. Sorry. Spoiler alert, sweet gum's on our list. We'll get to it in a little bit.
And even red maple, there's better maples than that. So we're really focusing on what we believe are the elite plants that show a fall color typically year to year.
Yeah.
So.
You want to start it off for us, Timmy? What do you want to talk about first?
I think we better just start with the sugar maple.
Okay.
Because the sugar maple is the king.
Dude, the sugar maples in Ohio, and I know in northern Michigan right now are just, well, northern Michigan's kind of like past its peak, but like here in Ohio, those sugar maples have been banging here in central Ohio.
Yeah, it's tough to beat a sugar maple. And what's cool about fall color is some things color up early and late, so it's not like everything's in color at the same time to compare, but sugar maples are tough to beat. Color-wise. And we put up a post on Instagram earlier this week. We showed some pictures of the variety you get from like a really clean golden yellow all the way through all the oranges into a nice red. Like they really, depending on their siting and their light they get and the cultivar, they really can have a lot of variability, but the color is always just awesome.
Yeah, the color on them is fantastic. And even the bark color, I think it contrasts it nice. So sugar maple, people, that's a pretty common one, but it's hard to beat that fall color.
And don't plant Norway maples, because Norway maples are maybe not here a problem, but in the Northeast they're a huge problem in those sugar maple forests. They're invasive, and their shitty fall color just really ruins the vibe up there.
Yeah.
So,
we ain't got time for that, do we?
Quit planting Norway maples. Yeah. I don't know. Out of all the maples we have, why you look at a Norway and think, I'm going to plant this one.
I'll tell you, so a lot of people do it for the crimson, is it Crimson Queen or Crimson King maple, Norway maple, so they like that purple foliage color through the season.
I guess so. That one's never excited me too much. Sorry, Kyle.
Yeah, the foliage looks like shit in the fall, though. It's just like a brown, tan, just dirty looking foliage, so whatever. I'm over it. I'm over those. Sugar maple for the win. Let's stay on this maple kick, and The Freeman maple is another great one. I know we have there's like that row of them outside of our service center that kind of borders those buildings, and there's probably 30 of them in there, I would guess, mature Freeman maples that run the whole length of that. And right now they are on fire. Like every single one of them is just the most beautiful red to like crimson color. I don't know.
They are. And so Freeman maples are a hybrid between a silver maple and a red maple. And what seems, they tend to get the best qualities out of each parent. So you get the quality of being super fast growing from the silver maple, but then you get the fall color from the red maple.
Yeah.
And the fall color is better than a red maple in this one.
I agree.
And then you get a really nice, there's all kinds of cultivars of silver maples, of Freeman maples, but you get a really nice, typically more upright habit, whereas a sugar maple is going to be more broad and spreading. These Freemans tend to be more, not real skinny, but more upright in habit.
Yep, absolutely. Taller than they are wide. So
yeah.
Cool, yeah. So sugar maple, Freeman maples, 2 elite fall color maples, 3 flower maple. I know you probably have something you want to talk about on this.
Yeah, that's definitely my contribution. I love the 3 flower maple, and I've talked about it here before, but it's a trifoliate maple, similar to a what's the one with the peely bark?
Acer Gricium?
Yeah. It's similar to a paper bark maple. So the leaf doesn't look maple at all. But when this thing goes into fall color, it is just the brightest orange. It's just freaking gorgeous. And
yeah, they look like they're on fire.
Yeah. They're a really bright orange into red, and it's a smaller maple. It's much more slower growing. So something for if you have I think we might have used this one in our woodies for tight spaces.
I think we did. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So it's a great little maple that doesn't have the showy bark of the paper bark, but it has really, really nice fall color.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, and we didn't talk about it, but the paper bark maples even
have nice fall color.
Yeah, absolutely. Donald here in town, he's got a Acer Maxwitzianum. Is that ginger? Is it
Acer X Maxwitzian? It's a hybrid between the Maxwitzianum and Gricium, but that's neither here nor there. I think
the cultivar is Gingerbread, yeah, and the fall color on it is just beautiful. Yeah. So yeah, Freeman maples, 3 flower maples, sugar maples, all great maples.
And while we're talking about maples, I want to just talk about the yellow buckeye. I wanted to make that connection there for you, because
make that connection, bub.
When it comes to buckeyes, a lot of the buckeyes do have lovely fall color, but they tend to get certain diseases, then they defoliate fast. But if you can have a yellow maple or a yellow buckeye that makes it deep into the season and still has its foliage, the fall color on it is incredible. And I will quote the intelligent Pablo Jordan, a.k.a. Petey Pobs, a.k.a.
You can, don't look at me for any of this, because
So Pablo Jordan was my professor in college at Ohio State, who taught me all of my plant courses, my fall woodies, my spring woodies, my shrubs, my perennials. And I learned so much from him, but I'll never forget the time we were on campus on one of our plant walks, and we're just making this beeline towards this giant tree next to the library, the main library at Ohio State. And he says, "Class, this is the..."
Can you tell?
I'm gonna
say it in his accent.
And I can't do this part in his accent, but this is the yellow buckeye. And he says, "As you can see, the fall color of the yellow buckeye rivals that of the sugar maple." And I'll never forget that. And every time I see one, I always just
think of that.
Whoever I'm with, I'm like, it rivals the sugar maple, but it really does.
I've heard you say that before.
It really does, and texturally, it's a much different tree with its palmate, droopy leaves, and they get very big compared to the Ohio buckeye. They're native here, more so in the southeast part of the state. They grow in drier habitats, but beautiful fall color on the
yellow buckeye.
Aesculus flava. I call it Flava Flav.
Flava Flav. Yeah. Cool, man. Yeah, thank you for that story. I always love the Pablo
Sugar
stories,
maple.
I've definitely heard you say that before more than once. So,
Thank you.
all right. So, ginkgo trees, I don't know. They're, as far as fall color goes, just the brightest, cleanest, prettiest yellow that you're going to find on a tree. And it's just this soft, buttery like yellow. And they are so clean. You don't get these like leaves that have the brown around the edges with the kind of crappy looking yellow foliage leaf. It's just an amazing yellow fall color. The one that I have here at my house right now is just gorgeous. And the other cool thing about the ginkgo trees is they drop all of their leaves at once. So like you literally, the cleanup on them is like, oh, I don't have any ginkgo leaves today. And then the next day it's like, oh, I have to clean up all of my ginkgo leaves. So it's just one shot and they're done. What's great also about ginkgo is you can get them in just about any size to fit any situation you have, whether that's something very, very tiny that could almost be a container that's on your back patio, to stuff that's shrubby type size, to more ornamental sized, all the way up to these great big giant shade trees.
They can be giant trees, very slow growing.
Yes.
And just to piggyback on how they drop their leaves all at once, what's nice about that is they all color up at once. So
yes.
Some trees, you've got trees that are starting to turn colors, but then there's still a lot of green. All the leaves on the ginkgo turn simultaneously. So, and Matt was talking about the clean yellow, super clean. When it comes to yellow fall color, it's hard to find a tree that doesn't have like a dirty yellow to it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
This is like a true yellow through and through without any brown bits, mucking it up. So,
yeah, I mean, I love the ginkgo tree for a lot of different reasons, but the fall color on them is probably one of the biggest reasons why. I mean, besides being like a survivor type tree that can just outlive about anything, these guys are awesome.
Yeah, I think the fall color is the main attraction for me anyways.
It just glows. It really glows this time of year. So
sure does.
Yeah, get out there and give those ginkgos a look for sure. So so that's the ginkgo tree and its fall color. You want to talk about the tree that I named my dog after?
Yeah, so I remember you told the story when you did the podcast solo.
Yep.
Looking for a variegated Tupelo tree, and you came upon a stray dog, and she's here. She's such a sweetheart. But that is the tree is Nyssa sylvatica.
Yes.
It also goes by black Tupelo, sour gum, and black gum. So it's got a lot of common names. Really should stick with Nyssa sylvatica on this, because those common names can really get confusing with other plants. But that's neither here nor there. Superb elite fall color on the Nyssas.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, that it's about as bright red as you're gonna get on it, right? But what's neat about the Nyssa is they naturally kind of have this glossy type leaf to them, right? So, not saying that like the red on the Freeman maple or a red maple isn't bright and pretty, it would be similar to the Nyssa, but the Nyssa's just got this very, very shiny foliage, which I guess catches the sun the right way, and
it's another one that tends to color up all at once. So, you don't have, it's like all or nothing, and it's just when they're all red like that, you can't miss them. It's just like, was something on fire over there?
Yeah.
Problem is, though, with Nyssas where we're at, is they're not, they survive and they grow and they get the fall color, but they don't have the vigor here in central Ohio that they have in the eastern part of the state.
Or southern part of the state, yeah.
Yeah, anywhere, if you just bisect the state down the middle, anywhere east, like up in northeast Ohio where my parents are, these things are huge in the woods. down in the Hocking area and stuff like that. But here, you don't really find them, growing natural. And when you do plant them, they're such a slow, stunted plant.
Yeah.
So,
There's some cultivars out there that seem to do a little bit better here. I know that there's some planted at Kaufman Park in Dublin that
Wildfire?
I wouldn't say, Wildfire. I want to say that it's a fast grower, but it's definitely quicker growing than the species, just Nissa sylvatica. But there again, still not the quickest growing tree, but absolutely beautiful. And we're not trying to tell people like not to plant these things because it's definitely worth it. If you're in an area where these things grow native, go check them out right now in the forest, because I'm sure that they'll stand out like a sore thumb. They're just beautiful trees.
They prefer a slightly more acidic soil than what we have here in Central Ohio. And as you move east in the state, that's what you get.
Yep.
So
East or south. So yeah, so cool. So that's Nissa sylvatica or black gum, sour gum, black tupelo, any of the above. We'll just stick with Nissa sylvatica. What else we got on here? You see anything in here that you want to hit on? I mean, we have more here.
Well, yeah, I want to. If another tree that I really like for fall color is Zelkova, and Japanese Zelkova serrata. It's a related tree to elms, so it has a leaf that's elm-like. It has a nice vase-shaped habit. It's very fast-growing, and it has a lovely fall color. And depending on the cultivar and the siting, they sometimes start orange and then turn red and do a nice burgundy, almost purple at times. And what I think the main thing about this is that they color up later than everything else. So our maples are probably just coming down off their peak right now, I would think.
Yeah, and the Zelkovas are just getting started.
They're just starting to show color. So what's nice about the Zelkova is you get like this whole new flush of fall color once the maples are all defoliated. So at least in our area, that's how it is. So I love Zelkovas for, we often talk about plant your garden. So chronologically things are happening. This is a way you can chronologically get some fall color in, knowing that the Zelkovas color up later.
Yeah,
so.
I think I use Zelkovas quite a bit at work. It's one of my favorite kind of non-native trees because it is a quick grower. It makes a nice shade tree in the park setting, but the fall color on it is fantastic. Plus, it's the bark on it's pretty and stuff. Reagan Landon from Dutch Mill, she's going through a plant ID class right now, and she texted me earlier this week. They were at Franklin Park doing some plant ID stuff. I don't know if it was a plant ID quiz or what, but she had texted me, and Reagan's probably listening right now, but she said that she was talking about the lacebark elms, Ulmus parviflora, and she was talking about how much she liked those. I don't know if she didn't know what they were prior to, but then she quickly followed it up with how much she also liked Zelkova, because that was on there, and it had been on a previous ID thing, and she was talking about how much she loved the Zelkovas, and I'm like, yeah, bro, like, they're legit, So.
Yeah, Zelkovas also have been kind of a good standard replacement for street trees that have died, like ashes. You plant ashes were kind of the perfect street tree with their fall color and their big crown. Well, we lost all our ash trees from emerald ash borer. I mean, unless you're treating them. Zelkova, if pruned properly, is the perfect replacement for your fall color on your streets for a large tree.
Fall color, yeah. But I think traditionally speaking, haven't Zelkovas also been used as kind of a replacement for the American elm?
Oh, yeah.
From after Dutch elm disease has come through, and
absolutely.
People have planted these because they have such a similar...
Yeah, and they're not an uncommon tree.
Yeah.
Just maybe something that people aren't as privy to.
Yeah. Sassafras, I'm gonna say sassafras is another one of those elite fall foliage trees. They don't grow fantastic here in Central Ohio. I think it's probably similar to the Nissas.
It is.
In that they grow really well together. A lot of times in the native forest settings in Eastern Ohio or in Southern Ohio, you'll see the Nissas and the sassafras growing together. We do have some, though, I will say, in Dublin that are growing very nice.
Yeah, and there's a ton in Gehanna, which is a little further east of Dublin. So I think it's more tolerant of the high pH soils than the Nissas are. But definitely, when you get like where my folks live in Northeast Ohio, they grow everywhere, and they're native, but they grow like weeds.
And they have fantastic fall color. They color up early. They color up earlier than a lot of things. So a lot of times when you're in the forest, everything will still be green or just starting to turn. And the sassafras trees they'll stand out because they will be like fire engine red before anything else. And they're also cool because they have, you probably know the scientific terms on the leaf stuff, but you can get them 3 different leaf shapes on them. You can get the singular leaf. You can get a 2-lobed leaf that looks like a mitten or like the state of Michigan, and then you can get a 3-lobed leaf.
And I'll do you one better. It's actually 4 because you can get a mitten, but with a thumb on a different side.
Oh.
So it's 4 different leaf shapes because it's the reverse mitten.
All right.
See what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Like mirror image of one another.
Yeah, that's cool. So I never really thought about that,
and really cool as the trees age, have this really neat dark blocky bark that's like unmistakable.
Yeah.
So really like that too.
Yeah, it's a fun one to go out and ID, and it's a fun one to find.
Here in Central Ohio, there's a nice specimen at Inniswood. Once you walk through the main entrance to the gardens and follow the path, it's off to the left, and when that's colored up, it's gorgeous.
So. Has it already like peaked this year? Do you know? Or not real sure.
The last time I was at Inniswood was with you, and it was dark.
Oh, it was, wasn't it? We should go to that little spot there in Dublin sometime this week and see if
check it out.
Yeah, it's always fun too to get the different leaves in a picture, of all the different leaf shapes or kind of the progression of the leaf color. Yeah. So sassafras is a fun one. Christian at work loves sassafras. I bought him one earlier this year. They had them at Acorns, and just these nice little 3-gallon sassafras that were probably 4 foot tall, and yeah.
What up, Christian?
Yeah. So, anywho, moving right along on some of this fall foliage frenzy. You want to talk? This is one of your favorites right here.
Smaller tree than most of the ones we've been talking about so far, but Persian Perodia.
Yeah.
Perodia persica is the Latin name for that one. This is in the same family as witch hazel and fothergilla, and it just has elite fall color. Everything in this family seems to. In fact, it used to, I think it's changed, but it used to be in the same family as sweet gum too, which is another tree with really good fall color. But what I like about Perodias is that they're totally underused in the landscape. They're such a tough tree. You could pretty much grow them anywhere. They stay small. Kyle's not going to like this, but they're pretty slow growers. He would beg to differ. I told our coworker Kyle once how much I love these, and he should plant one near his house, and they were slow growing, and apparently this one's just growing really fast.
Yeah.
And it's like taking over this side of his house, so
he bitches about it constantly
all the time, but he loves that tree, I'm sure.
It's beautiful. He bitches about it, but then like he loves that tree. Yeah. He loves that. He loves talking about that tree. So,
and what I like about the fall color of Perodias is that they go through so many different phases. They start to color up, and they can have yellow, orange, burgundy, red, all on the same plant at the same time. And then it kind of figures itself out, and it might, maybe it does more the orange thing or more the burgundy thing, but it's so cool having all those colors at once. It really catches your eye.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the Perodias are cool, and they offer some cool bark interest too. So as they mature.
Oh yeah. Very good winter interest on the bark, and just a great tree in my opinion.
Yeah. So the Persian Perodias, and we'll just stay right on track with that. I had mentioned earlier, and then you just mentioned sweet gum. Another one, hard to beat the fall foliage on these guys. Again, you can get them, there's a lot of different cultivars that are out there, from very narrow, like the slender silhouettes, tall, narrow trees. And when I say narrow, I'm talking like, a mature one at maybe 4 foot wide by 40 or 50 foot tall. We've seen them bigger in the South, but here in Central Ohio, you're probably not going to see them get a whole lot bigger than that. But the sweet gums, what's cool about them is you literally can get every single color. You think of a fall color, and it can be on that sweet gum at the same time. So
all
you can have
same tree.
All in the same tree. You can have one branch the leaves are crimson, another one that on the branch they're red, another branch they're orange, another branch that are yellow,
or specific leaves that have all the colors in
Yes,
the one leaf, and
exactly.
then not to mention the leaves are star shaped, so it gives a really cool texture to the plant.
Now they do have that pesky, annoying fruit, but in my opinion, the fall color on the tree and the overall hardiness of it too just kind of outweighs that the fruit that are these seed pods, because they're kind of spiny, and if they're in the yard and you have kids running around, they're going to step on them. No, they're not spiny like a cactus, but they would be uncomfortable to step on.
It doesn't feel good to step on them, and that's why maybe it wouldn't be the best tree to have in a yard where you're going to be running around barefoot, but like in the middle of a large city park or something.
Oh yeah,
it's fantastic.
Yeah, I love the sweet gums, and we have some streets in Dublin that are lined with them, and it's so cool to drive down them this time of the year because it's like they're all the same cultivar, but it seems like there's 1,000 different.
Yeah, they're
different
all
colors.
doing their own thing. Because we were talking about, there was another tree earlier we were talking about that was so uniform, like a ginkgo. It's so uniform,
very uniform.
This is like the opposite, but in the best possible way.
Yeah,
as far as the diversity of the fall color. In fact, we have those 4 or 5 on the back of our shop, and I've got a good picture, which we should try to put up. But each of them is like in a different stage of its fall color, and it's a really cool shot because they're all the same tree.
Yeah, you know how every day when I go, I take about 15 minutes of my lunch break every day to just kind of go sit in my car and just like decompress and kind of unwind and close my eyes and just like my like me time where I chill out.
Yes, you do that, and we miss you, but I'm glad that it helps you.
Yeah, so I do that every single day, and so when I'm sitting in my car every day, I've watched the progression of those trees, and it's pretty cool, So, and when they start to change, I always know, fall's here, and also we have ginkgos that line the parking lot.
Yeah,
the parking lot island, so I get to see the ginkgos also, which is cool. And I like it when the ginkgo leaves fall. So,
yeah, you're not always planting trees for fall color, but that's one of the things when I'm selecting trees, fall color is the first thing on my mind.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, you're not always planting for fall color, but everything that we're mentioning here, aside from maybe Nyssa sylvatica and sassafras being like, they're hardy here, but like marginal in terms of how well they are adapted to our particular soils where we are at in Central Ohio. All of the rest of them that we're talking about offer the, kick-ass fall foliage, but they also make beautiful shade trees.
Yeah.
Some of them flower, some of them have beautiful shapes, some of them have beautiful bark and stuff. So, but we're, yeah. So, all right, enough of that.
Go ahead. Talk about a couple that you're in love with, son.
Well, am I going to talk about?
Sure.
Okay.
Talk about whatever you want.
Cornus cusa or our Chinese dogwood. The fall color on it is beautiful. Dark kind of, I would say like a dark red foliage or burgundy type foliage on those guys in the fall. And a lot of times you'll get that with the red fruit that is on them. So here's one that you can get in different, shapes and sizes and different flower colors. It's got really cool bark when it's mature. But if we're talking about just fall foliage, the Cornus cusa, I think is a standout as far as foliage color goes. So
yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
a lot of dogwoods color up really nicely. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. But I would say this, as far as the trees goes, like our Native American or flowering dogwood shows nice fall color, but this is just a step above that.
Yeah, and I'd like even some of the variegated cultivars that are out there because you get the dark kind of crimson. The normal green leaf part of it is like a dark crimson, but then where the white variegation is on the leaf, it's a light, soft pink, and it just contrasts so well. And when you walk up on those trees, you see these different hues of pinks and reds, and it's just beautiful. So,
I haven't planted a Kusa dog one in years. I think it's time I get a couple more in the ground.
It's time you plant some Kusas.
Yeah.
So let's get on that.
Will do.
So, yeah, so we, that's kind of the short list of trees we wanted to talk about. Of course, there's some other good ones out there, like, we could have talked about some of the different oaks.
Yeah, and the thing about oaks is sometimes beauty is in the eye of the beholder as far as the fall color, because there are some, like, I know Shumard colors up really nicely, but some just take on like a really nice rusty orange type color, and
or a really, really, really deep red color.
And it varies season to season. And I just think we're talking about the things that everyone can just look at and be like, yeah, that's beautiful. And that's why I didn't want to talk about taxodium either, because I think the fall color on a bald cypress is incredible. But some might not think that, because it's not really orange, it's not really red, it's kind of this rusty color.
But it works so well when it's with a lot of these other elite things.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It just really stands out. So,
and we did make a post on Instagram about sumac, so we should just touch on that briefly. But not poison sumac, but staghorn or smooth sumac are the two that we're talking about, which is a very small tree that grows in colonies, a shrub. And I know as you head north from here, like on your way to Michigan along 75, it becomes more prevalent. Mm-hmm. Although we do have plenty of it here.
We have plenty of it here, yeah.
But it's just check our Instagram. That's a fall color that's tough to beat as well.
Fire engine red, yeah. So that's a really cool one for sure. We have a little grove of it that we planted a volunteer project, and we planted some, and it's on fire right now. And that was some of those posts that we had on the Instagram things. So.
And you can't. I didn't know you guys planted that. That's fantastic.
The sumac?
I didn't realize that was one that you guys had planted. I think it's the first picture is part of that. A couple of them, but the first one in that post is for sure that. Just neat leaves provides a completely different texture than everything we've talked about thus far.
Absolutely. So. Yep. So moving on, we'll hit on just a few shrubs and a couple perennials here real quick before we wrap this talk up on, fall foliage to go out and look at. So, I'm going to talk about oak leaf hydrangea corsifolia. We've hit on it before. I'm going to throw it back out there. The fall foliage on these guys is elite. It's crimsons and dark reds. It's not that bright like red maple red or Freeman maple red or the Nissa type red, but it's just this, I don't know, you're chicken winging over here or something. It's just this really nice deep red on them. And it holds that color for so long through the fall and even into the early part of the winter. And and if you leave the spent flowers on there, the foliage just stands out, in my opinion, is an elite fall color.
And we've talked about oak leaf hydrangea a lot in
for good reason
in this podcast, and for all different reasons and for good reason. But I mean, just write that one down. It's just such a great plant. And as far as the hydrangeas go, it's the one with the elite fall color. Some of the others have that like dirty yellow thing that I talked about,
whatever,
and it provides something. But this is just next level shit right here.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you want to talk on any of these? You want me to hit on one?
Well, we talked about the Perodia being a great tree, and I mentioned that it's in the same family as Fothergilla and witch hazel. So I'll just bundle those together. Again, Fothergilla is another one that we've talked about a lot, and the fall color is just kind of, imagine how I describe Perodia with all these different colors on the same plant. It does that same thing, and then it eventually kind of, goes towards orange or goes towards red, but it's a little shrub with little leaves, and it makes a great foundation plant. We have so many at our place. I use so many in my landscapes because it's a great addition to like a perennial border type shrub as well. And then its cousin, the witch hazel, and I'm specifically talking about the X Intermedia, and the cultivar that I've noticed is Arnold Promise, and it has, in the words of Pablo Jordan, fall color that can rival the Sugar Maple, but in a smaller shrub form, and that's one that can really, really light up an area. Is the Arnold Promise witch hazel cultivar, which is an X Intermedia cross. So we don't need
cool.
Yeah.
So as you were talking there, I wanted to hit on a couple of the viburnums, but I don't know the freaking common name of viburnum nudum.
It is
Possumaw?
Yeah, Possumaw.
Possumaw viburnum? I've never heard that before. Is that crazy?
No one calls it that.
Okay, so viburnum nudum or viburnum. I'm gonna throw a couple. I'm gonna throw two viburnums together.
Some people call it Winterthur viburnum.
Okay,
but Winterthur is a cultivar.
That's the cultivar. Yeah,
is one of the cultivars
or
available.
Brandywine. Yeah.
So I just say viburnum nudum. I think that's just why Latin names are just better if you can get in the swing of things.
Yeah, so I had never heard it called that. I'm an idiot, but
no, you're not.
So viburnum nudum or viburnum trilobum, is that right? Viburnum, am I getting that right? Cranberry bush,
American cranberry bush.
Yeah, So American cranberry bush viburnum, viburnum trilobum. I'm just going to talk about two viburnums here: the viburnum nudum, the Winterthurs, and the Brandywines. Just have this really nice, a little bit deeper red
and
foliage,
glossy
foliage that pairs beautifully with the berries that it produces. And depending on the cultivar, I can't remember what I think Brandywine is. Brandywine have the two different colored berries.
Yeah, pink and blue.
Pink and blue berries that it just pairs so nice with this beautiful foliage, glossy dark red foliage. But then the cranberry viburnum or viburnum trilobum has this kind of trident shaped leaf, trilobum, tri three. So this kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say red mapley looking type leaf, but similar to that. And it gets like fire engine red. It gets this very, very bright red. And it's, I don't know. Yeah, it's another beautiful fall color, elite fall color for sure. If you're wanting some viburnums around the house.
We lost our viburnum nudum Brandywine in our yard. It sat below our bedroom window, and we think it was just getting a little too much shade back there.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, we lost like more than half of it, and Megan just cut the dead out. Now it's just this weird sprig. I think it's doomed, but I understand why she didn't want to just give up on it just yet.
Sure.
But, we can get more. That's what did John Greenlee say?
You don't really know a plant intimately or something until you've killed it at least twice.
Yeah.
So there you go. So you're getting to know that viburnum nudum just a little bit better.
Because the ones I've used at Bristol out there in the full sun, you know which ones I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Matched up with those Oriental Spice Bush, those things are doing great.
Yeah, some of the nicest ones I've seen are in up at the Botanical Gardens in Traverse City, and they have Brandywine up there planted on a little hillside planting, and it looks fantastic. They have them planted in with some Amsonia and stuff, and I absolutely love that planting.
Amsonia, huh?
Yeah, so speaking of Amsonia, we're just going to hit on two quick perennials for y'all real quick. Oh, did you hear that?
Yeah,
It sounded like a guitar strumming, and that was my watch hitting the spring.
Matt tickled
stand, so.
the spring a little bit. He just gave it a
little
tickle.
Yeah. So, Amsonia hubrichtii in cultivars. So, pretty much, Amsonia hubrichtii, what's the one called? String Theory, which is the smaller version of that. Butterscotch, which is a little bit more of a butterscotchy type color. But these things are just the most beautiful, clean yellow, or in the butterscotch, kind of that ambery yellowy kind of color, just a little bit dark, maybe a little bit more of the orange hue in with the yellow, but both of them amazing.
And just a disclaimer, this plant doesn't produce eggplants, but it does produce eggplants in Matt's pants.
It does. Yeah, it's
multiple.
Kind of starting to
multiple.
Bit, so
you've heard him talk about Amsonia before, and he gets very impassioned about this, and rightfully so.
I just think it's it's just an awesome perennial. Any of the Amsonia, not just hydrangea.
You took some
Amsonia
photos
hybrid,
last week
yeah.
of your mass planting there where Post Road that ends into Emerald Parkway. You got to put some of those on Instagram. Like
I'm gonna,
stat.
yeah. Well, I want to wait until they yellow up just a little bit more.
All right.
So, but
sometime
I'm gonna
this week, maybe.
Yeah. So we'll get like a little. I want to get a video of them, like a cinematic video of them kind of even moving in the wind, because that texture is just badass. So
this, I mean, it's a textbook perennial of like why you use it in mass, because one is cool, but like 100 is eggplant producing.
Yeah,
just crazy.
You love it.
Yeah, of course I do.
And when the sun hits it,
whoo, yeah, just lovely soft texture and just a really beautiful fall color.
Yeah,
so.
Cool. You want to talk about this last perennial that we have got for our listeners here?
We wanted to put another perennial on there, and that is Penstemon digitalis.
Digitalis.
Our native beard tongue. And again, this is one we've talked about a lot. There's a lot of great cultivars that have like a dark summer foliage, but when it comes to the fall color, especially because it grows native in a lot of the prairies where things are starting to turn notes of mahogany and light browns and things like that. And it's like the one thing in there where the leaves are just like fire engine red.
Yeah, they're on fire.
Yeah, so it just provides, and again, I'm not dissing the tones of mahogany.
No, I know how you feel
and the
about
tans.
them.
That stuff starts to look really nice. Those browns together, but then this injects this red in there, and it's fantastic. And we should get some pictures of this one up too. It's because I'm thinking of Brenna's planting there at Donegal, how it's starting to go to sleep, and you've got a lot of yellows and browns in there, and then the red just comes up, and it's like you start to notice this plant again. Like it bloomed, it kind of went hidden, and now it's reasserting itself as an ornamental beauty in the garden.
Yeah, and I've noticed with the cultivars, the ones with the darker colored leaves, the fall color on them is still fantastic, but I don't know that it's quite as good as just the species. The one that is the green leaf that goes to just this freaking bright red.
Yeah, I think the ones with the darker leaves they still turn, you get more of the burgundy purple, but then with those straight species with the green leaves, you get the bright red. It really stands out.
Yep. Yeah, I really like them. So cool. Yeah. So that kind of wraps it up. There was one that we didn't talk about on here that I just remembered, and that's the blue stems, little blue stem and big blue stem. So if you're wanting to get a grass like foliage into your planting for something with fall interest, look at any of the cultivars of big blue stem or little blue stem. Big blue stem, you're going to get that super red fall color on them with the cultivars. And with the little blue stem, you're going to get, like purplies and reds and pinks and blues, like just all of the colors on the little blue stems.
Great ornamental grasses, a little in the big blue stems for fall color compared to something like a miscanthus. Again, we keep going back to this, but why are people using miscanthus?
Yeah. Well, even some of the other, like the Carl Foresters
or like the pennisedums.
Some of these other grasses still have nice fall interest. I just wouldn't say that it's an elite fall color. Correct. Like the little blue stem or the big blue stem has. Correct. I even think like the Indian grass is a beautiful fall grass, but I don't know that it's an elite.
Yeah, it's more of that straw color. It's a nice fall color, but it's not elite.
It's not elite. It's not what the little blue stems and the big blue stems are going to give you. So
yeah,
check those out if you are thinking fall color for your garden and you want grass like foliage. Look no further than little blue stem and big blue stem. So cool, man. That kind of hits on.
It seemed natural. I mean, that's all we've been talking about this week is the fall color. And if you scroll through my photos on my iPhone, it's just like fall color, right?
Yeah, you're scrolling on your phone right now, but there's nothing.
No, but up. I'm doing the motion. So it just seemed natural to get your finger out of there. It just seemed natural to talk about what we've been feeling really passionate about right now. So get out and enjoy it. if you're like us and you just hate the hot weather, no worries, because it's not.
Yeah. Take a drive, head down to, if you're an Ohio listener, head down to Southern Ohio, check out the fall colors, go for a nice drive on a Saturday afternoon or even a Saturday morning or whenever. Yeah, I don't know.
That's a wrap, bub.
The fall foliage frenzy, that was that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very fitting. We need to also do a fall talk sometime by request about fall maintenance in the garden. So maybe a next week thing or something.
We'll have to see.
I mean, I wish that people would tell us what they want to hear, but we've only got like two people, two of our listeners that give us any kind of an idea on what they want to hear.
Yeah,
so
we need some more feedback. You know how to get a hold of us.
Yeah,
Feed us back.
Instagram, Facebook, Gmail.
We feed you. You feed us.
That's right. So cool. So that kind of wraps it up for this week's episode. Timmy, you got anything you want to add?
Rock on, what you got on, man?
Yeah. So peace, love, and trees. I'm Matt.
I'm Tim.
Love you harder.
We're the Shrubby Buddies.
Love you harder.
Peace out.
+2.
Nope. No, you don't.
All right. Whatever.
Bye.
Bye-bye.